What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Call of the Wild, where today we are going to be answering some of the frequently asked questions that I get about Call of the Wild. Now, this video is going to be great for those of you that are brand new to the game, but also great for those of you that have been playing a little while. There'll be some things here that maybe you do know, some things that you don't, but these are the questions that I get quite frequently, so I thought I would make a video to answer all of them in one go. So starting off with how many levels are there in the game and what are they for? So in Call of the Wild, you max out at level 60, okay? You start at level 0 and you work your way up. Now along the way, when you first start out in the game, each level that you go, so when you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4, along with that, you will go ahead and you will acquire a skill or perk point. Now they can be used to build up your skills and perks here, which you can see I have various ones collected and used. So I have 3 here, 1 there, 1 out of 2 there. Now, the skills and the perks can be quite intimidating to start off with until you realize what they're trying to achieve. But to answer that in more detail, I do have a video where I have done dedicated skills and perks analysis. That's in the top there right now. So make sure you go ahead and give that one a watch. The next question that I get quite a lot is, can I hunt with any gun? Now, the simple response to that is yes, you can hunt with any gun. There's nothing in the game that says that you can't. But there's a couple of things to consider. Different guns will be designed to shoot different animals, which means that if you use a gun which is designed for a small bird and you're trying to take on something like one of the Cape Buffaloes, you're not going to have a lot of success. Now, one thing that I would say to you guys, okay, is that in the game, you have a class of animal. When you spot an animal, on the top right of the screen, you get some information about it, and in the top right corner of that will be the animal class. And what you want to do is you want to go over to your inventory, go to your ammunition, and you want to hover over the bullets that you are going to be using, because down where I'm covering right now is going to be the recommended classes, okay? So to answer the question, can you use any gun? Absolutely, you can use any gun. But should you use any gun? No. You should use the gun that is designed for that class of animal. Not only is using the right gun going to be the ethical way of hunting, but also if you are on for a potential diamond in game, if you use the wrong gun, that diamond will disappear. It will go down to a gold. So you don't want to lose your diamonds. Make sure you use the right gun. The third one is one that a lot of people ask me about, which is, what is hunting pressure? What does it mean and what does it do? Well, hunting pressure is on the map here, these little pink or purple dots. Now, this is an indicator as to, you can call it a fear indicator, okay? Starts off here as a very faint purple color, and then over time it will go right up to a bright hot pink color. Now, the brighter the color, the more fear the animal has of that area. And what that means is that you need to go ahead and let that cool off. Now, the way that you do that is by moving around the map and creating hunting pressure or shooting animals in other areas of the map. That is going to be the best way to go ahead and give the animals that belief of, okay, it's safe to come back here now. Then once that hunting pressure disappears, go back to that original location and you can start the process all over again. So the follow-on question of that I kind of answered there is, how do I get rid of hunting pressure? Well, there's a couple of ways that you can slow down hunting pressure. Using something like a tripod, for example, will definitely go ahead and reduce the amount of hunting pressure that's created per kill. The same if you use a bow. Now, hunting pressure is really interesting because if you use a bow or if you use a tripod, then what's going to happen is instead of taking out 3 animals and deleting a need zone, you should then be able to take out 8 animals, and that need zone will still stay intact, which can be really useful if you are trying to do something like a red deer or whitetail great one grind. If you guys are trying to take them out, you're going to be taking out a lot of the deers in the process of doing that, so having the tripod means that you can take out more animals before you delete a need zone. Which brings us on to the next question. What is a need zone? Well, a need zone is an indicator as to where an animal will be at a certain time of day. Now, I am loaded in here on Mississippi, okay? This is the brand new map, and you can see that I have 2 need zones here. So one is resting and one is feeding, but there is also drinking need zones as well, and I just don't think that I have one on this map yet. So you can see here that this is a common raccoon resting need zone, and that indicates that it will be resting here between 6 AM and 10:30 AM. Now let me go ahead here and just move myself out of the way for you guys. so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. So you can see there, common raccoon at 6 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. And then this one here is the American alligator, 6 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. So a need zone tells you where the animal will be at what given time. Another thing to note is that if you are on PC, you can actually go ahead and clear the hunting pressure off your map in one go by doing a population reset. Now, a population reset is essentially giving your map an entire fresh start and spawning in new animals. Pop reset. And the way that you do that is by following this video that is going to be up there. I've done a dedicated video on that, taking you through every single step on how to do that. But of course, make sure that you go ahead and back your game up first, just in case something goes wrong, which it can do every now and then. Usually it's pretty safe to do so. I do it quite frequently because I'm always looking for them beautiful diamonds and beautiful rare furs, and I know that you guys are as well. So make sure you go ahead, follow that video, and just make sure that you guys are resetting your population file the right way if you want to do so. Now then, this is one that I struggle with, okay? And this question is going to be, which DLCs should I buy? There's a lot of different DLC in with the game, and they all do different things, from weapon packs to maps to tents and tripods to ATVs. And the one thing that I would say is, think about what matters to you. You know, if you're happy with the maps that you have, but you want to be able to move around the map a little bit easier, then something like the tents and tripods are going to be great for you. If you want to go ahead and start goose hunting, then you'll want to go with the goose DLC. If you want to hunt the ducks, then you want the duck and cover DLC. So there's a lot of different DLC for a lot of different types of play. Now, the general rule of thumb that I say to people is that if you just want the best game experience, then the two main DLC that I would start with is going to be the Smoking Barrels DLC and the Yukon Valley DLC. So the Smoking Barrels DLC, let's go ahead and pull that up. You can see here that the Smoking Barrels DLC is going to give you some guns here, okay? So this is a weapons pack DLC, and it includes the Hudzik 50, the M1, and also the Miller Model 1891. Now, the gun that is going to be the star of the show from this weapons pack here is going to be the M1, okay? This M1 is a 5-round semi-automatic class 4 to 8 beast. It will do an amazing job of taking down animals on your map. And the best part about it, because it's semi-automatic, if you mess your first shot up, you can take an almost instant second follow-up shot to secure that vital hit. So that would be my first recommendation, the Smoking Barrels DLC. Now, the Yukon Valley DLC is right on the Alaskan-Canadian border. It's an absolutely beautiful map, boasting a lot of beautiful animals on it, but also there is a hidden advantage to this map as well, which is the .300 rifle that it comes with. That is a class 7 to 9 gun, and it will take down the big game stuff easily, as long as you hit them vital organs. So this is going to be my second recommendation, okay? So the first one, the Smoking Barrels. The second one, the Yukon Valley. Yukon is an absolutely beautiful map. It's got caribou, it's got moose, it's got bison. It's an absolutely beautiful map. And it's also one that has the wolves on, which can be a lot of fun. They are aggressive and they will attack, which makes it that little bit more intense and can be a lot of fun to hunt on. But then, of course, you get that beautiful 300 rifle that you can actually use on the moose and the bison that are on this map. So it's definitely worth going ahead and grabbing. Now let me have a look here. Quickly go ahead and show off this beautiful .300 here. You can see that it is going to be an absolutely insane gun, capable of doing 150 meters, 21 and 42 penetration respectively, with the 60 expansion and 14 expansion, depending on if you go with a soft point or the polymer tip bullets. Now then, you know about hunting pressure, you know about the levels and skills and perks, and you also know about the first DLC that I would recommend picking up if you only have the base game so far. However, the thing is that you will need to know when it comes to shooting is what the different bullets mean. Well, there are a couple of different types of bullets in this game depending on the rifle that you are using, or if you are using a shotgun, handgun, etc. But I'm going to cover the main ones here for you. The first one would be, what is the difference between a soft point, hollow point, polymer tip, but also a full metal jacket? Well, let me go ahead and start with the hollow point. So a hollow point is going to be a expansion bullet, okay? So that is going to be when you shoot an animal, it won't necessarily penetrate a lot, so it's designed for the animals with softer skin, things that aren't as hard to penetrate, and that will do a lot of expansion. So it's designed that when it hits the flesh, the bullet expands, doing more damage on the internals. Then you also have the soft point bullet, which is a similar thing to that. However, it does it through a different way. So instead of it being hollow, it just has a soft point, hence the name. Now, for the animals that are slightly more challenging to take on, you'll want something like a polymer tip. Now, the polymer tip is the armor penetrating round of Call of the Wild. It has a much higher penetration, a much lower expansion, and is designed for shooting the animals that are that little bit harder to go ahead and penetrate. So, for example, on the M1, it can shoot up to a class 8 animal. Now, class 9 is the maximum in the game, so that bullet is going to have a lot of penetration because that is a very difficult animal to penetrate. Something like a moose has very thick skin, has quite a big body, but also it has 2 huge legs protecting its heart and lungs from the side on, so sometimes you're going to have to shoot through that as well. So you need the additional penetration to make sure that you can get through to the vital organ to take the animal down. And then for the absolute king tier class 9 animals, you're going to want to use a full metal jacket. Now, a full metal jacket is essentially the same concept as a polymer tip bullet. However, it is a full metal jacket. So it is all metal. There is nothing soft about it whatsoever. It is just designed to go quick, penetrate, and do damage. That is its job, and that is what it does. So when it comes to shotguns, you have 3 main types of rounds. So you're going to have the birdshot, the buckshot, and the slug. Now, a birdshot is designed for taking out small game. So it's your turkeys, ducks, pheasants, geese even, things like that. Things that are often quite small game and don't require a lot of penetration to take down. Then you take a step up and you move on to something like the buckshot. Now, a buckshot, very fitting. So you have birdshot for the birds, a buckshot, you're most likely going to be shooting a buck deer with them. They have higher penetration, they have bigger pellets within the slug itself, and they are going to be for taking on things like your white-tailed deer, your black-tailed deer, your coyotes even. You know, the animals that are harder to take out than birds, but not too difficult to take out. And then for the bigger things, you are going to be looking at a slug, which is a high damage round, okay? The slug is going to be designed for your bigger game stuff. So it's going to be for your red deers, for your mule deers, things like that. It can't take out the very top line animals. It just simply doesn't have enough penetration. So you will have to use something like a pistol with a high caliber round, or a rifle with a 300 or 475 or something like that. They are going to be the guns that you'll have to use for that. However, the slug will do a lot of the bigger game stuff. So given that I suggested the first 2 DLC to go ahead and grab would be 2 DLC that do include guns, the question might be, do I actually need them? Doesn't the game give me the default rifles that are capable of taking out the full spectrum of animals? And the answer to that is yes and no. The default guns are good. They will take out a large majority of the animals that are in the game. However, I would say that the DLC guns do expand that experience. They do enhance the hunting experience. You know, things like the M1, for example, you know, in the default game, there isn't a semi-automatic rifle. The M1 is in a class of its own in its ability to do that. And I do definitely feel that I use a lot of the DLC guns because they are so much better. For example, for class 1 animals, I use the 22 long rifle, which is from Weapons Pack 1. And I think it's absolutely unbelievable. It does a great job of taking down any small game birds, you know, turkeys, geese, things like that. And it's a lot of fun to use. Now, obviously, I could probably find a gun in the game by default that would do that. However, I don't think I would enjoy the hunting experience as much. So technically, yes. However, I do recommend that if you can get it for cheap enough, then it's always good to get the DLC because, like I say, they do go ahead and enhance your experience as a player. Now then, if you've got your guns and you've got your DLC and you are moving on around and you find yourself an animal, there's a couple of things that you are going to want to know, which is going to be, what's the maximum weight? How do I know what the maximum weight is? Where can I find it again? And all this good information, which is why I would recommend you guys going ahead into the description. There is a link there to a Google Sheet, which will give you all of the Call of the Wild information that you need. Now, this has been developed by a lot of people in the community going into the game, doing research and putting all of that research into one nice, neat spreadsheet, which you guys can go ahead and get. So make sure that you go on along and check that one out. Bookmark it on your browser or save it to your phone, because believe me, if you are coming in for a hunt on a map that you aren't familiar with, or if you want to try taking on a new animal, that will save you a hell of a lot of time when it comes to actually tracking them down. When you come across a diamond potential animal, you'll probably be able to figure that out if you follow the spreadsheet by looking at the score rating of it. There's a couple of things that you're going to want to make sure that you do. The first one is going to be make sure that you are using a gun that has the class capability for that animal. The next one is going to be make sure you hit it in either the liver, the lungs, or the heart typically, because they will be the vital organs that will confirm the integrity of that kill. So the integrity is basically saying how ethical was the kill. If it was an ethical kill on a huge animal, then it will most likely give you a diamond for that. Now, diamonds are the piece de resistance of Call of the Wild. They are the things that everybody talks about all the time, and they get them up in their lodge to display proudly the animals that they have found within the game. And the final question that I often get asked is, what's the best way to hunt? Should I be on the floor, prone everywhere? Should I be up, walking around? Should I just be sprinting and seeing what I can find? And to be honest with you, the answer is truly, it depends on what you like to do. Some people prefer to go ahead, jump into a tripod and sit there for a couple of hours. Some people like to go running through and shoot what they find on their travels. Some people like to be quite sneaky and methodical about the way that they hunt. At the end of the day, your game, your rules. You play it for the way that you want to play it, and don't let anybody tell you that you have to play a certain way. Now, the way that I play is I will do this, okay? I will come into a map and I will run around, I will hear a call, I will follow that call, I will see the animal, I'll get my gun out and I will shoot it. Then I'll pick it up, carry on moving around. That is the way that I play, that's the way that I've always played. However, I know there's a couple of people that I know that like to go ahead into this game. They like to get themselves set up in a tripod around the lake. They like to wait for the animals to come in. They like to take out 1 or 2 animals, wait for them to come back in, take out 1 or 2 animals. And then I also know some people that like to really quietly, you know, walk around, crouch down, having a look around, seeing if there's anything. And then, you know, they'll see an animal, they'll go prone, they'll line up the shot. It is entirely up to you. There's no right and there's no wrong way. It's the way which is going to be the most fun for you. And then this one isn't so much an answer to a question as much as it is a little bit of advice for you guys, okay? So for those of you that have just picked up the game, one thing that you may not be aware of is that you don't actually need all of the DLC maps to be able to play them. And there's a little workaround for this, which is really awesome within the game. And the way that you're going to want to do that is by going onto the main menu and going to the multiplayer tab. Now, obviously, if you are on console, that means that you're going to need PS Plus or Xbox Live to be able to access the multiplayer. However, if you do have access to it, all you have to do, jump on, go through the multiplayer, select a reserve. Say, for example, you don't have the brand new Aotearoa DLC or Mexico, or maybe you don't have the Mississippi Acres when that one comes out. You can go ahead, search for somebody else that has a multiplayer hosted and join their game. You can literally join a DLC map that you don't have, so long as somebody in that game session has it. It can be really awesome when it comes to trying to decide if it's a DLC that you want to pick up for yourself. Say, for example, I'm on Mississippi right now. You're thinking, well, I don't know if I want it or not. Jump onto a multiplayer, go around for a little bit, have somebody come with you and show you around, and then go, yeah, I think this one's for me. I'll go ahead and buy it. Or you can go ahead and go, you know what, actually, I think I'm going to let that one pass. But it obviously gives you that option that you wouldn't otherwise get if you couldn't have access to the multiplayer. So make sure that you use full advantage of that. But that is going to be where we end it for today. These were some questions and answers that I have got a lot in my stream over on twitch.tv/AndyWillsTV. There's the plug, got it in towards the end. And I would definitely say that if you guys have any questions, please do feel free to either leave them in the comment section down below, or come along to my stream and ask me when I am live. I am always open for a conversation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope this video has been enjoyable and beneficial to you, and I will catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.